Let me tell you a story about a woman named Eleanor. Eleanor was the kind of person who did everything right. She showed up early. She stayed late. She never complained. She learned every system, mastered every software, volunteered for every committee. And after 7 years at the same company, she was still in the same chair. Same title, same pay, same gray cubicle. Meanwhile, a man named Paul had been hired 18 months ago. Paul took long lunches. Paul left at 5 o'clock on the dot. Paul once accidentally replied all to a company-wide email with a typo. And last month, Paul got promoted. He got the corner office with the window. Eleanor sat in her car after work and cried. Not because she was sad, because she was confused. She said out loud to the steering wheel, "What does Paul have that I don't have?" And the answer came to her like a slap. Paul asks for what he wants. Paul asks for the better assignments, the higher budget, the flexible hours, the corner office. He doesn't wait to be offered. He doesn't hope to be noticed. He just asks. Eleanor had never asked for anything. Not once. She thought hard work was a silent language that everyone understood. She thought results spoke louder than words. But she was wrong. The world is not a mind reader. The world is not fair. The world is a noisy marketplace full of Pauls who are asking while the Eleanors are waiting. So here's the first truth. If you want to get whatever you want, you have to learn the art of asking. Not begging, not demanding, asking. There's a difference. Begging comes from emptiness. Demanding comes from arrogance. Asking comes from clarity. Asking says, I know what I want. I believe it's possible. I am giving you the opportunity to participate in something good. That's the energy you need. That's the lever that moves mountains. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but I've asked before and nothing happened. Or, I asked once and got rejected and it hurt, so I never asked again. Or, asking feels uncomfortable. It feels needy. It feels like I'm bothering people. I hear you. I've been there. But let me tell you a second story. This one is about a fisherman named Old Chun. Old Chun lived in a village by the sea. Every morning, he took his small boat out to the same spot. Every evening, he came back with the same small catch, just enough to survive. One day, a young woman from the city came to study the village. She asked Old Chun, "Why do you always fish in the same spot?" He said, "Because that's where I've always fished." She said, "But the big fish are 20 minutes further out. Everyone knows that." Old Chun said, "I know, but I tried going further once. 20 years ago. I didn't catch anything that day, so I came back." The young woman said, "One bad day 20 years ago decided the rest of your life?" Old Chun didn't answer. He just looked at the horizon. That's the tragedy of most people. They ask once, maybe twice, and when it doesn't work, they conclude that asking doesn't work. But imagine if a baby gave up walking after the first fall. Imagine if a musician gave up after the first bad audition. Imagine if a salesperson gave up after the first door slammed in their face. Asking is a muscle. And like any muscle, it's weak when you first use it. It feels awkward. It feels unnatural. But the more you do it, the stronger it gets. And one day, asking becomes as natural as breathing. Let me give you 3 key principles about asking and receiving. Write these down if you can, or just remember them. They will change everything. Number 1, asking is the beginning of receiving. Not the middle, not the end, the beginning. When you ask, you start a process. A strange, invisible, almost magical process. Suddenly, your brain starts filtering the world differently. You start noticing opportunities that were always there, but you never saw. You start hearing conversations that used to be noise. You start meeting people who have the answers you need. I don't know how this works. I really don't, but I know it works. I've seen it work hundreds of times. It's like pushing a button and hearing a distant engine turn over. You don't need to understand the engine. You just need to push the button. There's a famous story about a scientist who wanted to solve a problem. He worked on it for months. Nothing. One night, he said out loud to his empty lab, "I need a solution by morning." Then he went to sleep. He woke up at 3 in the morning with the answer fully formed in his mind. He wrote it down. He later said, "I don't know where it came from, but I know it didn't come until I asked." Asking opens a door. You don't have to know what's behind it. You just have to be willing to turn the knob. Number 2, Receiving is not the problem. Receiving is automatic. Think about this. If receiving were the problem, no one would ever get anything. But people get promotions. People get raises. People find love. People heal from illness. People build fortunes. People achieve dreams every single day. So receiving is possible. Receiving happens all the time. The question is not whether you can receive. The question is whether you have asked. Most people walk around with unasked questions burning inside them. I want to start a business. Did you ask for the loan? I want to write a book. Did you ask for the introduction to a publisher? I want to find a partner. Did you ask anyone on a date? I want to be happier. Did you ask yourself what would actually make you happy? Failure to ask is the real problem. It's not that the universe is stingy. It's that you haven't placed your order. You cannot receive what you have not requested. That's not a law of the universe. That's just common sense. Imagine walking into a restaurant, sitting down, and waiting. The waiter comes. You say nothing. The waiter leaves. You wait longer. An hour passes. You're hungry. You're angry. You say to yourself, "This restaurant never serves me." But you never ordered. You never asked. That's how most people live their lives. Sitting at the table of life, starving, waiting to be served, never opening their mouths to ask. Number 3, receiving is like the ocean. There's plenty. Success is not a pie with a limited number of slices. Success is not rationed. No one stepped up to the window and heard, "Sorry, we're all out. Come back next lifetime." There's enough money, enough love, enough opportunity, enough happiness, enough of everything. The ocean is full. But here's the catch. Some people go to the ocean with a teaspoon. They ask for tiny things. A little more money, a little more time, a little more recognition. And the ocean gives them exactly what they ask for. A teaspoon. Then they look around and say, "See, there's not enough." But they never traded their teaspoon for a bucket. They never showed up with a barrel. They never asked for the whole ocean. There's a story about a king who gave his 3 servants each a bag of gold. He said, "Go and invest this. Come back in a year." The first servant came back with 10 bags. He had traded boldly. The king gave him 10 cities. The second servant came back with 5 bags. He had traded carefully. The king gave him 5 cities. The third servant came back with the same 1 bag. He had buried it in the ground. He said, "I was afraid. I knew you were a hard man, so I hid your money. Here it is back." The king was furious. He said, "You wicked servant. You could have at least put the money in the bank and collected interest. Take his bag and give it to the one who has 10. The point is not about money. The point is about asking. The first 2 servants asked for a return. The third servant asked for nothing. He played it safe. He kept his teaspoon, and he lost everything. Were you burying? Were you hiding? Were you too afraid to ask for? The ocean is waiting, but you have to show up with something bigger than a teaspoon. Now let me tell you about the 2 ways to ask. Master these and you master the art. First, ask with intelligence. Notice it doesn't say ask intelligently. That's different. Asking with intelligence means you've done your homework. You know what you want. You know why you want it. You know when you want it. You know how much. You know what color. You know what size. You know the details. Most people ask like this. "Hey, I was wondering if maybe sometime you could possibly help me out with something?" No pressure. Whenever. If it's not too much trouble. That's not asking. That's apologizing in advance for having a desire. That's mumbling. And mumbling gets you nothing. Ask with intelligence means you stand up straight and you say, "I want to double my income in the next 12 months. I want to lose 20 pounds by July. I want to write 300 pages by December. I want to learn Spanish to a conversational level in 6 months." Specific, measurable, clear. When you ask with intelligence, you give the universe a target. And the universe loves targets. Vague requests get vague results. Clear requests get clear results. There's a reason why every GPS needs an address. You can't say, "Take me somewhere nice." The GPS would just spin. You have to say, "Take me to 1423 Maple Street." That's asking with intelligence. Write your goals down. Not in your phone, not in your head, on paper, with a pen. There's something about the physical act of writing that locks a goal into your nervous system. Scientists have studied this. People who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. 42%, just for picking up a pen. That's not magic. That's intelligence. That's giving your brain a clear instruction instead of a fuzzy wish. Let me tell you about a man named Robert. Robert wanted to be a marathon runner, but he was 60 pounds overweight and hadn't run a mile since high school. He told his friend, "I want to get in shape." His friend said, "That's a teaspoon. Try again." Robert said, "I want to run a marathon." His friend said, "That's a bucket. Now describe it. When? Which marathon? What time?" Robert said, "I don't know." His friend said, "Then you don't have a goal. You have a fantasy." So Robert went home. He researched. He picked the Chicago Marathon. 14 months away. He found a training plan. He wrote down, "I will run the Chicago Marathon on October 12th in under 5 hours." He put that paper on his bathroom mirror. Every morning, he read it. Every night, he read it. He started running. 1 mile, then 2, then 5, then 10. He lost the weight. He changed his diet. He got faster. On October 12th, he crossed the finish line in 4 hours and 53 minutes. He cried. He hugged his friend. He said, "It worked." Writing it down worked. His friend said, "No, you worked. The writing just told you where to go." That's the power of asking with intelligence. It doesn't do the work for you, but it points you in the right direction. And half of success is just going in the right direction. Second, ask with faith. This is the hard one for adults. Adults are skeptical. Adults have been burned. Adults have a long list of reasons why things won't work. Adults have been told no so many times that they start saying no to themselves before anyone else gets the chance. But here's the truth. Faith is not about being naive. Faith is about being willing. Faith is saying, "I don't know how this will happen, but I believe it can happen." Faith is the gasoline in the engine. Intelligence gives you the map. Faith gives you the courage to turn the key. Think about a child. A child wants a puppy. Do they say, "Well, let me analyze the probability of parental approval based on historical data"? No, they ask with their whole heart. They draw pictures. They make promises. They cry. They laugh. They believe it's possible. And sometimes they get the puppy, and sometimes they don't. But here's what's important. When they don't become cynical. They don't decide that asking is worthless. They just ask again, and again, and again. That's childish faith. And it's one of the most powerful forces in the world. There's a story about a young singer named Nina. Nina had an incredible voice, but she was terrified of rejection. She had been rejected 3 times by record labels. After the 3rd rejection, she stopped asking. She stopped submitting demos. She stopped calling. She just sang in her apartment, alone. Her grandmother noticed. Her grandmother said, "Nina, what happened to your fire?" Nina said, "I got tired of hearing no." Her grandmother said, "Let me tell you something. I asked your grandfather to marry me. Back in 1952, women didn't do that. I asked him anyway. He said no. I asked him again. He said no. I asked him a 3rd time. He said yes. We were married for 51 years. If I had stopped at the first no, you wouldn't exist." Nina went back to asking. She was rejected 9 more times. On the 10th try, a small label said yes. That record sold 2 million copies. Nina later said, "The only difference between the 9th no and the 10th yes was that I didn't stop asking." Ask with faith means you understand that no is not a dead end. No is just data. No means try a different approach. No means ask a different person. No means ask at a different time. No means ask in a different way. No is not a wall. No is a sign that says, keep going, just change direction. Now, let me give you a formula. It's simple. Make your plans like an adult and believe in them like a child. Adults are good at planning. Adults are good at logistics, budgets, timelines, contingency plans. Use that. Do your homework. Run your numbers. Build your strategy. But when it comes time to actually ask, when you're standing at the door, when you're dialing the phone, when you're sending the email, believe like a child. Believe that it's possible. Believe that you deserve it. Believe that the answer could be yes. The most powerful combination in the world is adult competence plus childlike faith. Competence without faith is cold and never starts. Faith without competence is hot and never finishes. But together they move mountains. Together they build cathedrals. Together they launch ships, start companies, write symphonies, heal bodies, and change lives. I want to tell you one more story. This one is about a woman named Helen. Helen was a single mother. She worked 2 jobs. She was exhausted. She had a dream of going back to school to become a nurse. But she had no money, no time, no childcare, no support. Everyone told her, be realistic. You can't do everything. Focus on survival. For 2 years, Helen listened to them. She kept her head down. She worked. She survived. But she wasn't living. One night, her daughter said, "Mommy, what's your dream?" Helen started to cry. She said, "I don't have dreams anymore, baby." Her daughter said, "That's sad. Everyone should have a dream." That night, Helen got out a piece of paper. She wrote, "I will become a registered nurse in 3 years." That was intelligent asking. Then she wrote down everything she needed. Money for tuition, 30 hours a week for classes and studying, childcare for her daughter, transportation, books. She looked at the list. It was overwhelming, but then she did something childlike. She believed. She cut the list into pieces. Each piece was a separate ask. She asked her boss for a flexible schedule. He said no. She asked another boss. She got a yes. She asked her mother to watch her daughter 2 nights a week. Her mother said yes. She asked the financial aid office for help. They found grants she didn't know existed. She asked the nursing program for an exception on a prerequisite. They said no. She asked again. They said yes. She asked a neighbor to carpool. She asked a professor for extra help. She asked and asked and asked. 3 years later, Helen graduated. She was a registered nurse. Her daughter sat in the front row. After the ceremony, her daughter said, "Mommy, you did it." Helen said, "No, baby, we did it. And we did it because I finally learned to ask." Today, Helen works in a pediatric intensive care unit. She saves lives every day, and she tells every new nurse the same thing. Don't wait to be offered. Don't hope to be noticed. Ask. Ask with intelligence. Ask with faith. And don't stop asking until you get your yes. So here's my challenge to you. 90 days. Just 90 days. Try this experiment. For 90 days, ask for what you want. Not what you think you can get. What you actually want. Ask every day. Ask big. Ask small. Ask for help. Ask for a raise. Ask for a date. Ask for forgiveness. Ask for a discount. Ask for a chance. Ask for a second chance. Ask for directions. Ask for advice. Ask for an introduction. Ask for a favor. Ask for feedback. Ask for a mentor. Ask for a sale. Ask for a yes. And do it with intelligence. Write it down. Be specific. Describe what you want like you're painting a picture. And do it with faith. Believe that it's possible. Believe that you're worthy. Believe that the ocean is full. At the end of 90 days, you will be different. You will have collected more yes than you thought possible. You will have collected some no's too. But the no's won't hurt as much anymore. Because you'll understand that every no brings you closer to a yes. You'll understand that asking is not about getting everything you want. It's about becoming the kind of person who isn't afraid to want. And that person gets whatever they want. Not because the world gives it to them, but because they refuse to stop asking until they have it. The world admires the doers. And doers ask. They ask early. They ask often. They ask again. They ask louder. They ask softer. They ask in person. They ask in writing. They ask in prayer. They ask in action. They ask until the answer comes. So what are you waiting for? What are you afraid of? What have you been silently hoping for while pretending you don't care? Stop pretending. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Start asking. Right now. Today. Ask for one thing. Just one. Pick up the phone. Write the email. Walk into the room. Open your mouth. Say the words. "I want this." And see what happens. You might be surprised. The ocean is waiting. But you have to ask. If this message hit you somewhere real, if something you woke up and said, "I've been waiting too long to ask," then don't just walk away. Do something with it. Hit the like button. Not for me. For you. To tell the algorithm. And to tell yourself that this matters. That you're serious about becoming a person who asks. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a friend who's been working too hard in silence. Maybe it's a coworker who deserves a raise but won't ask for it. Maybe it's someone you love who forgot they're allowed to want things. Send it to them. Be the reason they finally speak up. Leave a comment. Tell me one thing you've been afraid to ask for. Put out there. There's power in writing it down where someone else can see it. I read them, and so do others who are on the same journey. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Not because I want a number, because you want a reminder. You want more stories, more tools, more reasons to trade your teaspoon for a bucket. The world is going to keep telling you to shrink. This channel is going to keep telling you to ask. So do it now. Like, share, comment, subscribe, then go ask for what you actually want. The ocean is waiting.